When everything around you screams impossible, that is the moment the universe invites you to remember who you truly are, the creator, not the creation. The impossible only exists to test your faith in the unseen, to see if you will bow to appearances or rise in imagination. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting yesterday's beliefs, and when you dare to feel it real before it is visible, you command reality to shift. This is not about hoping, waiting, or forcing things to change. It's about entering the silent power within you and feeling from the end, knowing that what you assume is true must eventually take form. When you can stand firm in that invisible knowing, while everything outside tells you it cannot be done, you have already crossed the bridge from wish to fulfillment. As I said, imagination is the only reality. Everything you see, touch, or experience in this physical world is but a reflection, a shadow of the imagination that gave it birth. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the career you have, the relationships you hold, all were once invisible thoughts that someone dared to imagine real. Imagination is not a daydream, it is the womb of creation. Every outcome begins in the invisible world of mind before it can ever touch the realm of matter. To understand that imagination is the only reality is to understand the true nature of creation itself. What you accept and sustain within imagination must externalize itself in time, for this world is nothing more than imagination made visible. When you grasp this truth, you stop reacting to circumstances and start commanding them from within. When the outer world appears solid, harsh, or unchangeable, remind yourself that it is simply old imagination made visible, a record of what you once believed and felt to be true. The power lies not in fixing the outer picture, but in reshaping the inner vision. If your life seems trapped by limitation, if doors appear closed, understand this. Those barriers only exist because you have imagined them. Shift your inner conversation and the outer world must obey. Every circumstance, every event is only responding to the vibration of your inner feeling. What you imagine with feeling becomes fact. This is not philosophy, it is law. The world is your mirror, constantly reflecting your internal assumptions. Imagination does not wait for evidence. It creates it. To live by imagination is to live from the unseen, to trust that the invisible is more powerful than what the senses report. The senses are faithful servants, but they are poor masters. They will always show you the past, what has already been impressed upon the subconscious mind. But imagination sees ahead. It lives in the now of fulfillment. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself already being, having, or doing what you desire, and when you feel that state is real, you set a seed in motion. The unseen forces of life begin to rearrange circumstances, people, and timing to bring your inner picture to life. Every great achievement, every miracle begins as a simple act of imagination. One person daring to believe in a world no one else can yet see. The great inventors, the artists, the dreamers who changed humanity all understood this law. They did not wait for the outer world to confirm their vision. They lived from it, not toward it. They walked through a world of impossibility, holding an inner certainty that their idea was already real, and so it became. You too hold that same power. There is no chosen few, no special gift. The gift is universal, the gift of imagination. It is the divine power sleeping in every person, waiting to be awakened by belief. When you learn to dwell in imagination consciously, life becomes a masterpiece. You no longer drift through experiences as a victim of fate. You become the author of your destiny. You understand that every problem is only an opportunity to imagine something greater. You stop asking how and start knowing it is done. The how belongs to the universe, the what belongs to you. Your only task is to imagine and feel it real. Creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists in the unseen realm of imagination. You are simply moving from one state of consciousness to another, from lack to fulfillment, from fear to faith, from separation to oneness. To live by imagination requires courage. It demands that you silence the outer noise and trust the inner whisper. It asks you to believe in your unseen creation when logic tells you otherwise. It calls you to feel rich when you are surrounded by lack, to feel loved when you are alone, to feel whole when the world calls you broken. This is not delusion. This is creation in its highest form. For what you feel as real within will harden into fact without. The moment you accept a new idea as true and emotionally dwell in it, the outer world begins to conform. The delay between imagination and manifestation is not denial, it is gestation. Just as a seed takes time to bloom, your inner assumption takes time to unfold. Look back at your life. Everything you now experience was once imagined, perhaps unconsciously, but still imagined. The situations you now call reality were first conceived as inner pictures, thoughts, or emotions. Knowing this gives you tremendous freedom. If imagination created the problem, imagination can create the solution. You are never stuck, never powerless. You are the dreamer dreaming your world into being. To awaken is to realize this. And once awakened, you can never again blame the world for your circumstances. You understand that to change your life, you must first change your imagination of it. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and imagine the most beautiful version of your life. See yourself living it, not as a distant wish, but as a present reality. Feel the joy, the freedom, the gratitude of already being it. Don't worry about how or when, simply rest in that feeling. Let it sink into your subconscious like a seed falling into fertile soil. When you wake, live from that feeling. Speak, walk, and act as though it is already done. The world will respond to your new inner state in ways you cannot predict. For imagination will always find a way. Remember, the unseen world of imagination is the true reality. The outer world is only a reflection. If you don't like the reflection, don't fight the mirror. Change the image within. The moment you do, life must rearrange itself to match your new assumption. This is the secret behind every transformation. Imagination is the only reality. The rest is just its echo. Feeling is the secret door. Everything in life begins with a feeling. Long before it takes form, before you touch it or see it, you must first feel it real. Feeling is the invisible bridge between imagination and manifestation. It is not enough to visualize, to hope, or to affirm without emotion. The creative power of life responds only to what you feel to be true. Words without feeling are empty sounds. Thoughts without emotion are dry seeds. But when an idea is clothed with genuine feeling, when you inwardly accept it as your reality, you open the secret door through which the unseen becomes seen. Feeling is the energy that activates creation. It is the language through which the invisible speaks to the visible. Many people live their entire lives trapped in wishful thinking. They imagine what they want, but they continue to feel lack. They hope for love, but continue to feel lonely. They affirm wealth, but continue to feel poor. They pray for healing, but continue to feel sick. They wonder why nothing changes, unaware that they are creating not with their thoughts, but with their emotions. You do not attract what you say, you attract what you feel. Feeling is the magnet that draws your experience. It is not logic, not reason, but emotion that builds the bridge between the invisible desire and the visible result. You can speak 1,000 affirmations, but if they are not backed by belief and emotion, they dissolve into nothing. The secret is to feel from the end, not toward it. Don't feel like you're trying to become something. Feel as though you already are. This is the difference between desire and fulfillment. When you desire something, you are acknowledging its absence. When you feel it real, you are embodying its presence. Creation happens the moment you shift from wanting to being. The universe does not deliver what you long for. It mirrors what you already feel you have. When you walk in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you align with the frequency of your desire, and life must reflect it back to you. Feeling is the silent prayer. It is the inner yes to what you want to see manifest. Every time you feel the emotion of your fulfilled desire, you are giving a command to the unseen forces of life. The subconscious mind does not understand words, it only understands vibration. And vibration is generated through feeling. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself living your dream, and then feel the joy, the peace, the satisfaction of that moment, you impress that vibration upon your subconscious. That impression becomes the blueprint of your reality. The outer world will begin to rearrange itself to reflect your new inner feeling. When life appears impossible, when all evidence contradicts your desire, that is the moment you must feel it real the most. The greater the contradiction, the greater the opportunity to exercise your creative power. It is easy to feel wealthy when wealth surrounds you, or loved when love embraces you. But true mastery is feeling it real, when there is no evidence at all, to feel abundance in the midst of lack, to feel healed while still in pain, to feel chosen when ignored. That is the power that moves mountains. Every great transformation in history began in someone who dared to feel something higher than their senses allowed. Prince Albert I, Emperor Julian. Feeling it real is not pretending, it is knowing. Pretending is weak and temporary. Knowing is steady and unshakable. You must rest in the feeling as though it were already done. You must learn to relax into the reality of your wish fulfilled. The more natural that feeling becomes, the faster it manifests. The subconscious mind always seeks to make your dominant feeling a fact. If you constantly feel worry, fear, or doubt, it will find ways to prove those emotions right. But if you dwell in feelings of peace, joy, and fulfillment, it will just as faithfully create circumstances that match them. Your feeling is the seed, and the world is the soil. You may say, but how can I feel something that isn't real yet? The answer is simple. It is real within you. Imagination is the spiritual reality, and feeling is the evidence of that unseen truth. You can begin now, in the quiet of your heart, to touch the vibration of your desire. Close your eyes and enter the scene of the wish fulfilled. See it through your own eyes. Hear the sounds, smell the air, touch the texture of that moment. Most importantly, feel the satisfaction that it's already done. Let that emotion rise in you until it feels natural. Then gently fall asleep in that state. This is the sacred act of creation, the merging of imagination and emotion. Feeling is not forced, it is accepted. You cannot push your way into belief, you must relax into it. Struggle creates resistance, and resistance delays manifestation. Instead, surrender to the feeling. Let it wash over you until your whole being agrees with it. This is why quiet moments of stillness are so powerful. They silence the noise of doubt and allow the feeling of faith to dominate. When you feel your wish fulfilled deeply enough, the outer world loses its power to intimidate you. You no longer react to appearances because you know they are temporary. You live from the end, not toward it. And that makes all the difference. Understand this truth. Feeling is the doorway to your new reality. The moment you feel something is real, it begins to take form. You don't have to know how. The universe knows. You don't have to control the process. Your feeling controls it for you. Your only job is to hold the emotional tone of the fulfilled desire until it becomes your new normal. Then effortlessly, naturally, life unfolds in alignment with that vibration. So whenever you face something that seems impossible, do not fight it. Feel beyond it. Close your eyes and move inward to the feeling of already being what you desire to be. Let your heart become the temple of that fulfillment. Feel it with gratitude as though it were already yours, and hold that feeling as your truth. In time, the outer world will bow to the inner. The door will open, the path will appear, and you will realize that you never needed to struggle, only to feel. For in the unseen realm of consciousness, feeling is the secret door, and through it, the impossible becomes inevitable. Ignore the facts, persist in the feeling. The most difficult lesson in the journey of conscious creation is learning to ignore the facts. The world around you constantly demands your attention. It screams with appearances, conditions, statistics, and logic. Yet the moment you believe the outer world has more power than your inner state, you surrender your creative authority. Facts are only the footprints of your past beliefs. They are not permanent laws. They are echoes of what you once accepted as true. When you persist in the feeling of your fulfilled desire, regardless of what the senses show, you dissolve the old reality and give birth to a new one. What you now call fact was once imagination. What you now imagine with feeling will one day be called fact. The key is to remain loyal to your inner vision, even when everything visible contradicts it. The outer world moves in time, but your feeling exists in eternity. What you feel now will project itself into the coming moments of your life. The mistake most people make is reacting to what is already visible instead of persisting in what they wish to see. When you react to appearances, you are reaffirming the past. But when you ignore appearances and persist in the inner feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are rewriting your future. You must remember, life is a mirror, and the reflection will only change after the image within does. So when the facts of life tell you it cannot happen, you're too late, or it's impossible, smile inwardly, for you know that these are only the final cries of an old state dying. To ignore the facts does not mean to deny them in fear or arrogance. It means to see them for what they truly are, temporary expressions of old beliefs. You are not asked to fight reality. You are invited to rise above it. The outer world has no life of its own. It simply obeys the inner command of your assumption. Therefore, the wise one does not wrestle with appearances. They quietly persist in the inner conviction that their desire is already accomplished. This inner calm, this unwavering feeling of fulfillment, eventually reshapes the world without effort or strain. The world bends itself around the persistence of one who knows the truth. The reason most people give up on their desires is because they judge the invisible by the visible. They look at their current situation and say, nothing is happening. But manifestation is not always seen immediately. The seed planted in imagination must first root itself in the unseen before it appears in the seen. When you dig up the seed to check if it's growing, you kill its progress. The same is true of your desires. The moment you begin to doubt, to look for evidence, or to let fear take hold, you disrupt the process. The law of creation is simple. Persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact. No matter what the senses tell you, hold fast to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. There will be moments when everything around you seems to contradict your inner knowing. People may doubt you, circumstances may collapse, and logic may argue against your vision. But in those moments, stand still in faith. The storm is not a sign of failure. It is proof that the old state is breaking apart. Persistence through contradiction is the true test of power. Anyone can believe when evidence supports them, but the master believes despite the evidence, and by that belief changes the evidence. When you persist in the unseen, life begins to reorganize itself. People shift, events realign, and opportunities appear in ways you could never plan. Persistence is not stubborn effort. It is quiet certainty. It is the calm knowing that what you have accepted inwardly must manifest outwardly. This persistence is born from love, the love of your own vision. You must cherish your inner picture more than you fear the outer facts. When you feel your wish fulfilled deeply enough, the facts will begin to yield. They have no choice but to bend to the dominant vibration. Every fact in your life right now is proof of something you once persisted in, whether consciously or unconsciously. You have already proven this law to yourself 1,000 times. You may have just forgotten. So how do you persist? You persist by living in the end. You carry the inner feeling of success, love, health, or abundance with you, not as a future hope, but as a present state. When doubts arise, you return to that feeling. When fear whispers, you silence it with inner knowing. You continue to assume that all is well, that your desire is already yours. Over time, the feeling becomes natural, and the moment it becomes natural, manifestation is inevitable. The outer world simply reflects what feels most natural to you. That is why persistence is not about force, but about familiarity. You persist until the new feeling feels more real than the old facts. Imagine a sculptor shaping stone. At first, the marble looks nothing like the image in his mind, yet he does not despair. He knows that with each strike, each patient motion, the form will emerge. In the same way, persistence shapes reality. Each time you choose your feeling over the fact, you are carving your new world. Each time you return to your inner knowing, you chip away at the illusion of limitation. And eventually, your masterpiece appears, not by chance, but by persistence. There is tremendous peace in this understanding. You no longer need to chase results or fear delays. You no longer need to beg or plead for change. You simply persist in the inner feeling that it is done. When you wake, walk as though your prayer has already been answered. When you speak, speak from the identity of the fulfilled one. When you rest, rest in the confidence that the unseen is working for you. Slowly, the facts will rearrange themselves. They must, because they have no power apart from your belief. So when life challenges you, when appearances shout no, remember this truth. Facts are fragile, but feelings are eternal. The feeling of fulfillment is the seed of reality. Persist in it long enough, and every fact will bow before it. You are not here to be ruled by the evidence of your senses. You are here to rule through the conviction of your imagination. Ignore the facts. Persist in the feeling. The world will catch up. Enter the state of the wish fulfilled. There exists a sacred state of consciousness that holds the power to transform your entire reality. It is the state of the wish fulfilled. To enter this state is to shift from longing to living, from hoping to knowing, from desire to embodiment. The state of the wish fulfilled is not a distant dream. It is the invisible dwelling place of every answered prayer. It is where you stop chasing your desire and begin being it. The truth is simple but profound. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest who you are. When you enter the inner state of already having your desire, the universe mirrors that identity back to you in form. The outer world bends to the inner assumption, because consciousness is the only creative power there is. Entering the state of the wish fulfilled means you are no longer a seeker, you become a possessor. You are no longer asking, when will it come? Instead, you rest in the quiet certainty that it is already here. This shift in identity is the foundation of all manifestation. It is not the struggle that brings creation. It is the inner acceptance that it is already done. When you live from the end, when you think, feel, and act as though your wish has already materialized, you move beyond time. You align with the reality where your desire is already complete. From that moment, unseen forces begin to rearrange everything necessary to bring your inner assumption into physical form. Most people make the mistake of wishing for something instead of living from it. They pray to be healed while still identifying as sick. They affirm wealth while secretly feeling lack. They speak of love while believing they are unworthy. And so they remain in the state of wanting, never realizing that the only way to receive is to already feel you have received. The key is not to reach for your desire, but to inwardly become one with it. You must think from it, not about it. When you think from your desire, you are imagining life as it would feel if it were already true. This is the essence of faith. To live inwardly in the reality of the wish fulfilled, even when the outer world has yet to catch up. To enter the state, you must first still your mind. The noise of doubt, fear, and logic will always try to pull you back into the old state. But silence is the doorway to transformation. When you close your eyes and turn your attention inward, you step into the creative center of your being. Begin to imagine a scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled. Do not force it. Let it unfold naturally. See it vividly, not as an outsider, but through your own eyes. Hear the sounds that would exist if your desire were real. Touch, smell, and breathe within that inner reality. Then, and this is the most crucial part, feel the emotion of already living it. Feel the satisfaction, the gratitude, the peace, the joy. Let that emotion fill you until it feels completely natural. When that inner scene feels as real as your waking life, you have entered the state of the wish fulfilled. Do not try to make it happen. Creation is already finished. You are not creating something new. You are selecting it from infinite possibilities. Every reality already exists. You simply choose the one you wish to experience by dwelling in its vibration. The state of the wish fulfilled is your selection tool. The moment you emotionally inhabit it, the invisible world begins to conspire in your favor. Circumstances shift, opportunities appear, people show up, and events unfold in perfect harmony. You may not see the immediate changes, but the law is certain. What you feel inwardly will harden into fact outwardly. Living from the end does not mean ignoring your current world. It means viewing it through the eyes of fulfillment. You may still be in the same job, the same room, or the same city, but inwardly you walk as the version of yourself who already possesses what you desire. When you act, speak, and feel from that identity, the world responds differently. Life begins to reflect your new state because you no longer vibrate as the one who is waiting. You vibrate as the one who already is. This is how miracles occur, not by force, but by alignment. Persistence is vital. At first, the old state will fight for your attention. The world may still show lack, delay, or contradiction. But do not fall for the illusion. Persist in the feeling of fulfillment until it becomes your natural dwelling place. Every time you return to that state, you strengthen its hold over your consciousness. Eventually, it becomes effortless. You wake up feeling as though your wish is already your reality. That is when the outer transformation becomes inevitable. The bridge of incidents will unfold, leading you step by step to the visible manifestation of your inner assumption. Entering the state of the wish fulfilled is also an act of surrender. It is releasing the need to control the outcome or the timing. You no longer ask how or when. You rest in the confidence that all is unfolding perfectly. You trust the unseen process. You no longer chase signs because the feeling itself is your sign. When you truly feel it real, you no longer need proof. The peace within becomes your evidence. The outer world must mirror, for the law cannot fade. So tonight, as you close your eyes, enter the state of the wish fulfilled. If your desire is health, feel the ease and vitality of a perfectly functioning body. If your desire is love, feel the warmth of being deeply cherished. If your desire is abundance, feel the freedom and gratitude of overflowing wealth. Do not merely think about these things, feel them. Let that feeling become your inner home. Fall asleep in that state and carry it with you when you wake. the world will slowly transform to reflect the vibration you have chosen to dwell in. Understand this: every manifestation begins as an inner identity. You cannot have what you are not willing to become in consciousness. When you live as the version of yourself who already possesses the desire, the outer must conform. It may come through unexpected channels, but it will come. For the law of consciousness never fails. The state you occupy becomes the life you live. Therefore, choose wisely. Do not linger in states of lack, fear, or waiting. Enter boldly into the state of the wish fulfilled, and remain there until it feels natural. Let your imagination and feeling fuse into one perfect union. Live from that place of inner completion. For when you dwell in the end with unwavering faith, creation bows to your assumption. The outer world has no choice but to obey the inner command. What you feel as real within will one day stand before you in undeniable fact. That is the power of the state of the wish fulfilled. It turns the invisible into the inevitable. Rest in the knowing, not the struggle. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where you realize that manifestation is not about striving, forcing, or chasing. It is about resting. True creation is not born from struggle, but from quiet knowing. When you rest in the knowing, you surrender the frantic energy of trying to make it happen and align with the calm certainty that it already is. The secret of effortless manifestation lies in this sacred rest. It is the stillness that follows faith, the silence after prayer, the peace that comes when you have inwardly accepted the end as accomplished. You no longer wrestle with doubt or beg for results. You rest in the awareness that the unseen is working perfectly in your favor. This rest is not laziness or apathy. It is divine confidence. It is the state of consciousness that says, "It is done." Struggle belongs to those who believe they are separate from their desire. Rest belongs to those who know they are one with it. The more you try to force life to obey your will, the more resistance you create. The universe responds not to desperation, but to trust. When you rest in the knowing, you release the energy of lack and step into the vibration of fulfillment. You no longer operate from the anxious question, when will it happen? Instead, you live from the calm truth. It already has. This inner peace becomes the magnetic field through which all that belongs to you finds its way to you. The world will always mirror the state you dwell in, and nothing radiates more powerfully than calm certainty. Resting in the knowing means accepting that creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists in the unseen realm of consciousness. You are not creating anything new. You are simply selecting and aligning with what is already there. Every possibility, every outcome, every version of you exists right now. The one you experience depends entirely on the state of being you rest in. When you rest in struggle, you remain in the state of not having. When you rest in the knowing, you align with the version of yourself who already possesses your desire. That is why the great transformation in consciousness comes not from doing more, but from believing more deeply. Consider how nature creates. The seed does not strain to become a tree. The river does not force its flow. The flower does not struggle to bloom. All creation unfolds through a natural rhythm, effortless, certain, and guided by unseen intelligence. You are part of that same intelligence. When you rest in the knowing, you align with that divine order. You stop interrupting the process with doubt, fear, or impatience. You trust that the same power that moves the stars and opens the petals of a rose is moving your desire into manifestation. Struggle is the ego's way of saying, "I must do it." Rest is the soul's way of saying, "It is already done." When you truly rest in the knowing, you feel a deep calm even when nothing seems to be happening. You stop looking for signs because you understand that the sign is within. It is the peace that passes understanding. This peace is your confirmation that the seed has been planted. The outer results may not yet be visible, but they are inevitable. Just as you would not dig up a planted seed to see if it's growing, you do not disturb your desire with worry. You simply rest, trust, and live from the end. Every time doubt arises, gently return to the feeling of completion. Whisper to yourself, "It is done," and let the quiet certainty wash over you again. Resting in the knowing also means releasing attachment to timing and form. The mind loves to control. It wants to know how, when, and through whom your desire will come. But the moment you fixate on those details, you step back into struggle. The how is never your concern. Your only role is to feel and accept that it is already so. The details will unfold naturally, in perfect sequence. When you rest in the knowing, the right people appear, the right opportunities align, and everything arrives in divine timing. What you once thought was delay is revealed as perfect orchestration. This rest is powerful because it is rooted in faith. Faith is not believing that something might happen. Faith is knowing it already has. It is living with the invisible as though it were visible. When you operate from that certainty, you radiate a quiet authority that moves the unseen world. You stop begging life to change and begin commanding it through your stillness. This is not arrogance. It is divine alignment. The power that created the universe is within you, and it does not need your struggle to function. It only needs your agreement. Rest is that agreement. It is saying yes to your creation and refusing to contradict it with fear. Many people confuse rest with inaction, but rest is not doing nothing. It is doing from a place of peace. It is inspired action, not forced effort. When you rest in the knowing, the actions you take feel effortless and guided. They arise naturally from intuition. You find yourself in the right place at the right time without planning it. You say the right words without rehearsing them. You move through life with a graceful ease that others can feel but cannot explain. You say without, that is the power of one who has mastered inner rest. Their outer world bends without resistance. To rest in the knowing is also to honor divine timing. The universe has a perfect rhythm, and your desire will appear when the path is fully prepared. You cannot rush perfection, but you can delay it through doubt. When you rest, you allow. You let the current of life carry you to your destination. You stop swimming upstream and begin floating with faith. In that stillness, creation accelerates because there is no opposing energy blocking it. What once seemed impossible becomes effortless. So tonight, let go of the struggle. Stop trying to make things happen and allow them to unfold. Close your eyes and feel the truth that your desire already exists. Feel the peace of having it, the joy of living it, the relief of being it. Rest in that feeling. Let it become your home, your resting place, your reality. The outer world will adjust itself in perfect reflection. There is nothing more powerful than calm certainty. Struggle creates delay, but rest creates miracles. Remember, creation is not a battle, it is a revelation. The moment you rest in the knowing, the unseen begins to reveal itself in form. You will look back and realize that everything came, not when you fought for it, but when you finally surrendered to it. Rest in the knowing, not the struggle, and you will discover the effortless rhythm of divine creation where everything you have ever desired already exists, waiting for your calm acceptance to bring it forth.